of equines or equines, however you prefer to say it, make the best teachers. Why are we excited to talk about this?
It's about horses.
Because we love to talk about horses all the time.
Exactly.
And we've realized that we can just talk about horses for hours. I think is something that we've realized over the years, that there's no issue with ever having to come up with something to talk about with horses.
Exactly.
So yeah, we're pretty pumped in talking about that. But of course, before we get started, we will go into our regular rigmarole here, which is first that hashtag
holy jumpin' tuna fish.
If you learned something today about horses or what kind of equines can be used for these programs that just blows your mind, you're very excited about, throw in the tuna fishes or tuna fishies icon, guys. I can tell already that my mouth is working.
Emoji cons.
Let's go with emoji cons. Good morning, Kim. And throw those in there because we always like to know what you guys are liking or appreciating for information as well. And then of course, share, because why, Carrie?
It's caring.
That's right. Sharing is caring, everyone. So we need to always remember that piece. So share this out, because maybe there's somebody else who's thinking that they've got donkeys, but what do I do with a donkey?
Exactly. Right? The old donkey donks.
Yeah, but they still fall in the family.
Absolutely.
Oh, I see we've got Regina on. Oh, hey, Regina. We haven't talked to you in a little bit. And then Lenore's on too. So welcome, ladies. And then, of course, that hashtag that we are life changers.
You are life changers. We are life changers. People, all living beings, really are a life changer. And it's nice to know you're in a tribe that we're all part of that movement of being a life changer, always going forward with it too.
That's exactly right. And we need to remember that everything that we can do to positively impact somebody else's life, we should do it, because we always want to keep changing lives for the better. Of course.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes, as much as we can, because why? Life is so hard. No matter how you shake it, life is hard. Life is hard every day, but there's so much greatness in the life that we're blessed with as well.
It's a good hard, because if it were just like,
it'd be boring. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I can never know what that would look like. And you wouldn't. If you didn't have the ups and downs in life, you wouldn't know what it's like to love exactly. Or to feel pure happiness, or because you wouldn't have felt the sad ever, right? Exactly. So good morning, Laura. We love you too. How sweet. I love this. And if you guys are catching this on replay, throw in that hashtag replay for us as well, so we can come back and say hi, because we always like to do those pieces as well.
So one of our favoriteest topics, because these magnificent creatures, who Carolyn will sometimes call unicorns, because they really are so magical. And at the Equine Connection, which we have to introduce ourselves, but at the Equine Connection, the one thing we're always about is the welfare of the horse, and of course research and science that backs everything with a horse. So when we say unicorn, it sounds kind of fluffy, but at the same time, it's that magical when any of these equine family members actually help a human to be able to move forward.
And I'm sorry, but when you are new to horses, like if it's not something that you get to interact with regularly, well, even for some of us who do interact with them regularly, there's something about walking into an area and a horse is there. Like, it's just so majestic. It really is in that moment, like being in the presence of a unicorn, because it's like something magical that you saw in storybooks from a kid. And then there it is right in front of you as well. Kim, I'm with you. I'd welcome a boring day every now and then. Just a day. That we
I had lots of days in the last 2 years. So I don't want any more boring days, man.
Yeah, but no, like boring, I think like
pajama day?
Yeah,
I see. Got it. Okay, I'm with you. Sorry, Kim.
So to introduce ourselves, my name is Carolyn Charles. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing, as well as an instructor and facilitator for the Equine Connection, the Academy of Equine Assisted Learning, Inc.
Hey everyone, my name is Carrie Fulmick, the founder and master instructor, helping people just like you globally around the world do what it is what we do. We call it a job, but we just can't believe it is a job, because we get to make a living working with horses every day and working with humans who want to move forward in their lives. But this is the kicker. We are not the teachers. It's literally allowing our horses to be the teacher. And the number one piece to our certification is always the welfare of the horse first. It's not just about the health of the horse. It has to be mentally and physically, both components in there, because that gives the humans the best teaching possible from these horses. And I'm telling you, there is nothing more humbling when you are in the presence of a human who makes a change right before your very eyes because the horse said so, not because we did. It's the human beings who are allowed to figure out in their own ways, be empowered by the answers and discussions that the horses give to them. They readjust themselves inside to be able to make those changes, allowing that horse to feel safe again, and off they move. And the bonus is what they're doing in the arena actually transfers to their own life. None of these programs are fluffy. So this is the best piece. It's all strong, it's all solid, it's all tangible and experiential. Learning is the oldest form of learning in the book. Plus you carry that learning with you. You don't just leave it like you read in a book and you forget how that rolls. The experience is within you because kinesthetically, that's the word. You touched it, you felt it, you lived it, you were there, and you can recall that even 10 years from now if you wanted to.
Yeah, even the smells, like you take it all in to your entire body as well. And I think there's something that you've always said too, is a lot of people have the answers to their own lives. It's just a matter of how do you access those answers. And when we tell ourselves something or somebody else says, you should really try changing this up, generally doesn't go the same way. But when we actually can have that come from a horse and then we adjust ourselves and then we see the outcome immediately, like you see the consequence, both good and bad, of what you choose, it just makes it so beautiful as to how we can really find those answers to our own lives, or acknowledge them, I guess is a good way of saying it too. And I love this one from Regina, because it's so true. Almost everyone is entranced by the presence of horses. They are magical beings.
They really, really, truly are. And, you know, we've said this so many times is I don't think even in our lifetime, we as humans will ever understand. And so many of us are always growing and learning more knowledge and understanding and how the horse actually works. But I don't know, it's going to take a lifetime plus to understand those magical beings. So totally agree with that. But here's the one bonus in understanding: is your equine a teacher? Because our equine family, first of all, includes all of the horses. So it's like one umbrella. So we've got our huge Clydes right down to our minis. We've got all of the ponies, but we also have the donkey, who is also part of the equine family. However, the donkey does teach differently than the horse. That is the only thing that you must learn in understanding. How does a donkey speak with his ears and his tail? And remember, he's a fighter versus a flighter, where mainly in our equine family, they have flight and fight. But of course, anytime they feel unsafe, what do? They take flight. Donkey, he did not the same way. And that's what makes him so great too.
He'll take that little coyote out.
Done.
Shaky, shaky. But it's beautiful too. I mean, it's lovely to have it. I've heard of people who have them within their herds. They've got their horses and their donkeys, and they're like, we don't worry about some things anymore because we've got our little donkey in there.
But understanding that horses do speak globally one language is a huge piece to understanding. If you're pony pons, and I'm sorry, I call all horses pony pons.
Unless they're ponies, and then you call them horses.
Yeah, I'm a little dyslexic. So when I say pony pons, I'm actually talking the whole equine family. Yeah. But it's beautiful because globally around the world, we know horses speak one language. It's not like humans where we have Spanish and French and English, all of those. They don't have that. They speak one language. And then of course, what do we have to add on top of it is the personality of each individual horse. Just as humans, we all have very different personalities. So those are some of the components in understanding first, if your horse can be, because of course, anyone can be, but here is the question: does your horse like it?
Yeah.
It's like putting your horse or donkey or mini into a different discipline or a different way of working with them. Do they like it? Because if they don't like it, it's kind of like our purpose on earth too, is what are we supposed to be doing in our lives? Is it something that we have passion for? And the horses really show themselves to be true. If they have a passion for this kind of work with people, because think about it, us as humans are a little messed up.
Just
why?
Touch,
right?
Yeah.
We do so much thinking, and we have a prefrontal cortex. Horses do not think, act, or respond like a human. So here's our humanness. We're always thinking. that gets tiring and it's heavy and it's hard, where we as humans actually have an intuitive piece, but that's our gut or feel, whatever you want to call it,
and
our intuition. And it's very strong. But what will happen sometimes is we get the answer here, we put it up to our brain, and then we kind of talk ourselves out of what our gut literally just told us, where a horse is the feeler. So they're the most feeling of all beings. They feel to know if something's unsafe. So you see, we have it too, but we choose to stay here.
We don't utilize ours for survival.
No.
Like we tend to go into that fight or flight response when there's an emergency, or, you know, like when it's that strong that you're walking down a dark alley and you decide to run or whatever it may be. Whereas we don't recognize all of those little pieces that we get every single day in our daily lives, because we have loads of sensory receptors just in our gut alone. But we process that through and we wait until it's like an extreme situation to go solely to our fight or flight. Whereas horses, they live in that, I'm going to die if I don't fight. Or
everything I'm going to die.
Right? See, you are like a horse.
I really am, because I do say that every day. I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So it is a good response that I live in.
Yeah.
I like that.
You're just the horse.
Who knew that?
Yeah.
Hey. I know that wasn't very good.
I liked it.
So we have had in all of our years, so we've been around since 2008. I can't believe it's been that long. We have had 3 horses that did not like equine assisted learning. But here's the thing too, you don't know what you don't know until you do know. I actually now understand, and I'm sure Carolyn would agree, if we would have understand that a horse can only think, act, and respond like a horse, the number one thing a horse needs to feel is safe, we could have actually understood what was happening with a couple of the other horses. But at the time, you know, because you keep learning and understanding, and it keeps growing and growing, but we didn't have the tools within ourselves to be able to help those poor horses and pony to get to that safe place. But I do have to say, the one that we did not like, we let that horse go back to the actual owners again. His name was Diesel, and he was a pony. Now, we loved Diesel with all of our hearts. I mean, I think anytime you can have a pony in the whole mix, ponies are so amazing, because people think they can just do things with ponies, but you can't.
Pony says no.
Yeah, pony very stubborn. And I just think they're fabulous at being teachers in these programs, because again, even if we take those parallels to how people judge and look at sizes of humans, and then we do that same thing with our ponies. But I mean, lots of people, because we have a lot of non-horse people, they're still scared of a pony, because a pony is still very, very large to them. But this pony was an escape artist.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. We were always having to go get him.
Yeah. Where's Diesel? Oh, okay, he's gone again.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we lived close to a major highway. So it's like, no, I'm not going to fence the whole boundary so that the pony stays in. So the pony had to go bye-bye.
But interesting, like even that one story of him. Do you remember we had the girls in, and they were teen girls, and they were working with him, and they were all over him because they were just treating him like he was
a baby ears.
Yeah.
Invalid.
And all that pieces. And then one of them said, he's not even a real horse. And Diesel was like, no. Turned around and walked away.
He did
immediately. And we're like, ooh, what happened there? He didn't like it that we said. Well, that's just like a beautiful parallel to human beings. We don't want those things either. We don't want to hear that we're not a real human or something along those lines, or be treated that way. But yeah, he was a fantastic teacher, just an escape artist. He was Houdini.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other 2 horses, one had a real problem with her head. And, you know, now I know we could have fixed it. Something was wrong with that poor horse. Like, I would always go to teeth. Anytime there's a head issue with a horse, always go to teeth. Teeth, and feet are number uno in understanding and keeping our horses at that beautiful teaching level. Because if a horse's mouth is out in any spot, if even just a little bit of growth, because remember, how do horses do it? They pick up the grass with their front teeth, they bring it back, and then they roll to each side to chew, and then it goes down their esophagus, I guess is what you would say.
Get all their food to get the nutrients out of it.
Exactly. And they're supposed to eat 16 hours a day. Like they really are supposed to be using that. So think about it. If you're not using an equine dentist, who is to me a specialist in understanding how the horse's mouth works, if you are not looking after those teeth and something gets stuck and they can't do that anymore, we already maybe have a horse who is having lots of pain in his TMJ or having headaches. Do you know where to find the horse's headache? That is a very cool thing. So you see, that would be false teaching. That would be a horse, as soon as you're touching and he does the high getaway sort of thing with his head, you know, we're doing it wrong if we say, oh, so what do you think was happening? Why do you think the horse moved away from you so fast? But that's false, because you see, this horse, Maggie, actually did have pain issues, but we didn't know enough at the time. But wouldn't you agree?
I would.
It was a mouth.
Yeah. Like I would love
poor Maggie.
Yeah, poor Maggie. That would have been really good if we, but we don't know what we don't know until we do know. But even with how, if you're a rider and you're noticing that one side's not working for your horse as well as the other, like the mouth really does balance out everything. And I had the pleasure of interviewing an equine dentist, Grant McKinnon, and it was phenomenal, the amount of things that are affected just by their mouth, and how we get that true teaching piece by ensuring that their mouth is in order. Because even their nutrients, if they aren't able to properly mash that food up, if there's a gap or if there's one they're hung up on, so they're only doing it on one side, they aren't getting even the full nutrition from their food. And that's when you end up with other issues. Like, it's a big deal. It's a huge, huge deal. I just can't even express enough. And we didn't know what we didn't know until we did know it, you in the dentist area as well. So we did a lot of floating. That's what I used to have a vet come in once a year to do that. But once I understood there's a huge difference, everything changed, and horses now get the equine dentist once a year. So understanding first, we have to have those two components looked after in the whole equine family. It has to be looked after. Then what really needs to start doing. Sorry, I'm just going to throw this one. Sure. Up. You ladies get it. Can I come hang out with you? Yeah, you can. Come on down. Welcome to the herd. Because we are the herd. That's exactly right. This one made me giggle too. Ponies are the ankle biters of the horse world. Interesting enough, we went and worked with some ponies in Ottawa, was it? Poor little pony pones. They were so sweet. But Carrie and I got the crap bit out of us by these ponies. And like, seriously, we don't get bit really by horses anymore, right? But we did. Ankle biters. And you know what, though? It came out that we were treating them, everybody was treating them like ponies and pushing them around and that kind of thing. And they're like, they weren't listening to them. And that's what we talked about, because we always debrief everything when we get back to our place. And oh my gosh, wasn't that weird, these ponies? And we're like, so see, no one's listening to them. So they kept trying to get our attention so we can help the humans to be able to now understand what the ponies are actually saying. And then when we brought it into the team, they were like, no way, this is amazing. Well, this time we actually listened to those ponies, and they did. Night and day difference. Nobody bite anymore. Took us a couple bruises to figure that one out, but we got there. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Oh, and Diesel sounds like Steve. Oh, I miss Steve so much. I always love those stories of Steve. Yeah. That was a llama? No. Who? Yes. Yeah. Steve was a llama, wasn't he? Why are we all lost on this now? I don't know. Like, I can see Steve, but I can't figure out what he is. Clearly, it's kind of like he's a big ostrich, but he's not. Yeah, update us on that one, Kim. He's not an ostrich. I know that for sure. Apparently, we're both losing it. Yeah. Okay. Well, she said years, but I'm thinking that's yes. I think she is, yes. Okay, very good. All right, going back. Llama, alpaca, cross. Oh, freak. I love Steve. Man, he was a good guy. Good dude. So those are the key components to begin with. So then the next stage is understanding whatever work it is that you're doing with your horse. So the equine industry, we do equine assisted learning. So again, that's where the equine assists the learning. We don't. We do step-ins to what? Save the horse. I always call it saving the horse. I know it sounds very extreme, but I feel as a professional, if we always have the welfare of the horse in mind at all time, literally when I see a horse saying something,
I need to go save the horse. So I don't think twice about it. I know my horse needs to be saved because it is the number one thing he needs to feel.
I was just
safe.
gonna say, like, it sounds extreme, but at the same token, if you think that they're always in the state of, I don't want to die,
right?
I'm not going to die, that's saving them from themselves, right? Really,
exactly.
Yeah.
So understanding those pieces first. So with equine assisted learning, then what we would do is take a horse, a donkey, a pony, through now some of our exercises. But here's the first thing. I personally work with all of the horses on my own first. Like, I don't just throw them into a program. Like, to me, when a horse comes to the facility or they've never had this work done before, I do a lot of like liberty. I do connection pieces. I really build up that trust relationship, because it's not about riding any of them or doing that, but I want them to know I'm there for them, because the number one thing they need to feel is safe. And I promise you, I will save you each and every time, because that's my deal with the horses. So working with them first is huge. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, because even if you didn't trust them and put them into a program, it would be a very, very different program.
It'd be false too.
Absolutely, because you would micromanage probably, because you wouldn't be knowing what was going on. And your stimulus that you're getting off would be very, very different. Like, we trust all of our horses.
And globally.
To know how they teach, because they speak the same language across the globe, right? So we can always see if there is something off, and we can talk about some of those things later too. But that trust piece and having that with them is huge for being able to facilitate. If you don't trust your horse, it's going to be very, very hard to facilitate and work with him as a teacher.
Well, there's no safety zone there, right? Because you're already showing your horse hears everything. Yeah. So he already knows. You don't trust me, lady. So why am I going to be listening here? You're not even trusting me.
It's not safe,
right? It's not safe.
It's not safe.
So that would be the key piece first. First, we're on our third or fourth piece right now.
Get where we're going.
Yeah, exactly. So then what we would do is bring the equine into a program, an exercise that we have, and we would have people come in. So, you know, guinea pig programs, if you want to, like when my daughters were young, I would always have their friends come over for pizza and pop parties sort of idea, but I would always take them through an exercise so that I can see, does the equine actually like what's coming onto them? Mm-hmm. So again, you're always saving the horse. You're stepping in, you're helping readjust, the human readjust, horse feels safe again, and then boom, they keep going. Okay, this is good. But if you keep stepping in to try to save that horse, and you can see even with you there, and you've already built up that trust, he's not really enjoying the baggage. Because remember, humans have a lot of baggage, and these horses are like, they're absorbing all of that energy of confusion and no confidence and not understanding where we're going in life. And it's just, I can't even imagine all of this
that they take on
going on to a horse. So that would be huge things, is doing testing to see what they're like with a variety of different people. Why?
Just gonna say,
because every human is going to have that different stimulus. But think of this, every day Carrie Fulmack is going to have a different stimulus that I bring to the same horse, because why? I'm living in a different space in that moment. So it's that consistent testing to see, do they actually like it? Especially when we're stepping in to save them, do they come back down to that safety zone again and keep doing it? You can tell when a horse loves it. Like, our horses actually knock at the back door. Like, they don't like to be left out. They love helping these humans to be able to move forward.
But on that note too, we also listen to them when it's not their day to come in.
No.
So like Roxy last week, I went to go out and grab her, and she said, no, thank you. And I'm like, oh, no, I still gotta grab her, right? So she still gets that part, but I didn't bring her in after, because she was very clear that was not her day, and it ended up being
was perfect
for how it worked out for the clients as well. So it's not always going to be that they're going to love it every single day. They have off days too, where they're maybe not feeling it, and not every single group. We've had horses that have to almost work up to different types of groups. Hey, like with the kids, they were a totally different horse than they were with adults or with addicts or things like that as well. So, but again, that's building those relationships and understanding your horse enough to know if it's an off day or if it's a response piece of what's happening too.
And it is interesting. That's why you can't always just say this horse only likes these kind of people, because that's not true either. You got to test it to see what's happening. But I do have to tell you, for all of the years when we've been working with kids, our horses always felt at a safer place. We still save them, because remember, little kids can mess you up too. Yeah. But I think it's because kids are so flippin' authentic to who it is that they are, which means they're thinking and feeling on the same pattern. Yeah. They're not messed up as us adults would be, because remember, the world stomp, 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 crush, 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 puts it in a box. So we're not creative or open or authentic to our own selves anymore, right?
Think how much we overthink the simplest thing, right?
And throw out rules that don't even exist.
Things that people say to us, and we overthink it for like 3 years later, and they had no idea like it was even a statement, right? Yeah. Like, it's very interesting what we do as adults.
It really is.
But kids, they think they say, like, they're pretty authentic into what's happening in their brains at that moment.
And think about that authentic piece, which I always call communication, even communication within yourself, because if you're thinking and feeling in communication on the same page, all that beautiful energy goes to a horse, and he's like, wow, this is a human who knows where they're going in life. This is a human, okay, trying to keep me safe. So there's so many pluses to those wee little ones who are so beyond authentic to oneself that it is beautiful. So I test out on a variety. I kept a spreadsheet always going on the horses. So then each day that they would come in and it would be a new group, I could write down how Faye, for example, was reacting with this one, with this group, with that person, with whomever, so that, after, weeks and weeks of doing this, I would see, okay, yeah, this horse does really like being in this kind of a program. And again, when it's very clear that they don't, it's not fair to me to keep. I feel every living being, whether it be true or not for yourself, every living being on this earth has purpose. And if we're not utilizing the purpose piece of the living beings, I think it's a sad life. I think it's sad to lay on a couch all your life. And I think it's sad to be in a field all your life. Now, again, that's just Carrie Fulmick way of thinking, because what's the purpose to just laying and doing nothing, right? This is why if you have retired horses, how beautiful that they still have a job, because as humans, we know we're always called to a greater purpose in what we're supposed to be doing. And it is always helping a human. Like, no matter what, that's what true purpose really is, right?
I had somebody say to us once, well, horses, like in the wild, they're just out in the field. Well, no, they're moving over hectares. There's babies coming in, there's teachings happening, all sorts of things that don't necessarily happen in the same way in our domesticated herds. So there is definitely a difference in that too.
And wild horses, just FYI, I love a little trivia thing. If they make it to the ripe age of 20 in the wild, that's pretty darn sweet. So 20 is definitely the age. And I didn't even know that before either, because see, we never can learn enough. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 20. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know in our domesticated horse world, we have lots of horses who are over 30s, sometimes even 40s. We have never had that beautiful experience.
No,
but we know others have.
But we also take in the land of the misfit toys is what lives here. We all have something special to us, humans and horses alike.
So here's another example. So again, horses speak one language globally around the world. So we go to Florida a few years back, and of course we are doing a training school there, because we always want that hands-on component so that you understand it's the horse you got to look at. It's not the humans. If you look at the humans, you'll miss what the horse is saying. You partner only with your equine. You do not partner with the humans, because if you partner with your equine, what happens is this partnership is so amazing that when you step in and it's all beautiful and safe, the humans start making their own changes. So we're not telling humans what it is that they need to do. We're just looking after the horse and having the humans understand. So what do you think Brandon's trying to say right now? All he wants to go away from us. So what does that tell us? And they say, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, what's the number one thing Brandon needs to feel? Safe. Okay, so maybe we got to talk more. Maybe we got to work together as a team, whatever they throw out. You never know. Every day is a new day. That's why it's fun doing equine assisted learning, because no two exercises or humans are ever alike.
Never ever.
So we go off to Florida to do this training, and we're so excited because this is the first facility that we were ever at where the actual owners, and that's major dressage country where we went to, understood how horses communicate. Well, that's pretty darn exciting when you're working with like-minded people. So they had never done this work before. So here's Mr. Carlos. He's 19 hands high.
Oh my gosh. So
the biggest horse I ever saw.
I couldn't see over his back.
You were at his knee, for heaven's sake. Oh my gosh.
I'm 5'4". I'm not that small, but he's huge.
Yeah, he really is. So any hoodle, we don't work with the horses before we begin. Why? We already know these horses have major life skills because they're at this facility. Like nobody hires us from an old farmer who's got some old horses out in the field. Nobody's going to do that, right? So these horses all have life skills. So of course I untie Carlos, and what I personally do to any horses that I first meet is I just do the handshake or the greeting where I just make my fist like the muzzle, let him come to me to smell me first. Then once we have had an official handshake, away we go. But I don't touch other people's horses first because I understand more now how horses communicate. I don't just go in and touch Carolyn just because. So I always like those parallel pieces until we build that relationship. So of course we're doing our woe and safety and how a horse speaks in the arena, because that's what every human goes through first. Because if they don't understand the safety and how a prey animal works, well, we're not doing the humans any justice because they're going to be unsafe.
How they're speaking. They need to know what to look for in the horse before they can do anything.
Exactly. And it's not just the ears.
No.
So any hoodle. So untie him. Usually what I do when I'm doing this is I usually throw the lead rope over the neck of the horse. Why? Because the horse stays. Because again, number one thing a horse needs to feel is safe. So you bring in your leadership, your confidence, you know what you're doing. You're keeping that horse safe. The horse always wants to stay in safety. So here's this ginormous horse and I'm doing my stuff. What does Carlos start doing? He starts doing the scan. So he goes down to my feet, scans all the way up with his muzzle, does the scan all the way down. Now, here's the funny thing. We have our non-horse people who are in the arena getting all of this, facilitating and training before we begin. They're all like, what is he saying? Then we have our horse people who are off, you know, because they're absorbing the training as we're doing this. And they're like they're twitching.
What are you doing?
Because we're allowing this horse to come in. But Carlos, first program in, he loved it. Why? We always saved him. He understood what it was that he was doing. And guess what? When he went high, can you imagine how tall he would have been with his head?
I was just like, look like the friendly giant. Look up, look way.
Exactly. So those are really good things to just keep in mind. And, you know, it's you too. Here's the one thing, your stimulus says a lot to your horse. So working with your donkeys, your ponies, your horses, as you're working with them, and I always say this, try to do things without halter and lead rope. Do they actually want to come and connect with you? Do they want to be with you? If they don't, to me, something then is off within me. Because if I know the number one thing is a horse needs to feel safe, what am I throwing off in energy to make this horse go away from me?
There's something in a rush, right? When you go out to catch a horse in a rush, that doesn't usually work very well. Right? Yeah, just when they're like,
energy.
Why is this predator chasing me down, right? Like there's lots of things that you have to kind of get into that mindset of, okay, I'm in this moment. It's not about that I have to be done here, I have to do this. I'm in this moment right now. So it's not that ever like, well, all of us are messed up in one way or another, but it's not about necessarily figuring out that deep of something all the time. Sometimes it's just like, how are you actually approaching a horse and how is that working? You mentioned about life skills before too. And I think that's a huge part of, well, when people call up, what kind of horses would I work with for this? Or how would I know what horses to work with? Life skills is huge because you wouldn't put yourself in a job if you don't have any skills in that job. We want our horses to have that same piece so that they're going to be used to some of the things and the energy being around. Doesn't mean all of them have to have been out in a parade or anything else like that. But if you've had a horse who's never had interactions with humans, you've got a lot of work to do before they're going to be able to pop into a program, probably. Same with green horses. You're not going to bring in and riding it doesn't necessarily matter for our programs because they don't have to be rideable, but you don't want to bring in a horse that has no idea what's going on and isn't broken any sort of way, right? Because that's not, again, not going to be safe. So there are some definite, like, not at this time horses that you wouldn't bring in for the program as well.
No, that's absolutely true. And you had said something there that triggered, but can I remember? No, because my brain.
Parade horses.
Oh, so yeah, that's what I was going to say. So what, even with, as Carolyn's talking about life skills, what are life skills? Maybe they're a mountain. They've been up in the trail ride several times. Mountain horses are really, really great because they have to be, well, adept to everything. Like, seriously, there's trees, there's cougars, there's berries, there's all kinds of things going on. Horses that have been in parades, 4-H, who've been worked with and handled a lot, like Faye, our 4-year-old. When I got her life skill was because she had an accident at 2 where the horse shelter actually landed on her back and ripped her open from her wither all the way down to her back end. And her life skill was 8 months in a barn, different people washing her and looking after her,
putting stuff on her.
Yeah, whatever that big thing is called. Injury.
Scar.
We'll just call it an
yeah,
injury.
It's a scar now. But
yeah.
Gaping wound is
what
it was
gaping wound.
Yeah, it was
so that's been some of the life skills too. I mean, now here's the thing. Let's really think about age. Because the age of a horse mentally in their brain, they actually haven't developed all the way until the age of 7. Now, someone once said it was 8, but I still am going with my original, the 7.
I think it's kind of like
the
kids.
research.
They don't develop everything exactly.
So,
too,
you know, somewhere in that. So if you think mentally, they're not fully developed. This is where you have to take some of these components in hand, because I actually, when I first started, I had older horses, like teenagers, is what I call them. But then they're still older horses. So I think they were age 14 to 17. I think I even had a 20 because I think Tanya Tucker was 20. I was
going to say Tanya Tucker, and Chicky was a bit older too.
Chicky was older. Then I lost them in 2011. They all died for a very different reason. It was just bizarre how it all happened. And then my beautiful friend Epi said, I don't know why this is happening to you, but why don't you consider looking at younger horses? I'm like, what? No way. I'm not a horse trainer. No, they don't bring enough, to me, stability to the program. But you know what? I ended up with 3 5-year-olds and 1 4-year-old. Then I did the Liberty training because I needed to connect to the horses in a trust that was far greater than just doing groundwork. Groundwork, I get bored after a while. I can't imagine what a horse feels like after a while too. So
round pen.
Yeah, the round pen. Exactly. So it was through Liberty, and it was the best thing as a horse person that I could have ever done for myself as a professional, and confidence and understanding horses better and actually delving in to what these horses needed. So the only thing is, in understanding this, yes, they weren't still fully developed, but the trust was so huge. And Faye, who is our youngest 4-year-old, she actually had an old soul. I don't even know how to explain it. It's kind of sometimes like with humans.
Yeah.
She was so old. Nobody ever thought, like, they always thought she was around 15, and she was like, she's 4.
She's 15 now.
Yeah. So I don't know what people think of her age now.
I think she still seems 15. I don't know. She's just been like a constant age.
Really?
For the past 10 years. I don't know.
So you'd really have to figure that piece out as well. I mean, I wouldn't do it just always having young horses, because I do feel as professionals, we're in a little bit more because we don't trust ourselves enough yet.
Yes. And steady eddies are nice.
Yes.
Right? Like our Jordy, he was just a steady dude, right? However, still a horse, still can react like a horse, and that's always the forefront of your mind. He still spoke in the same ways, just had a more chill way of his teaching. So those steady Eddie older guys, they're really nice to have, but don't rule out some of the, you know, those, like a 7-year-old is great, because sometimes they bring in a totally different personality to things and way of working with them as well.
Yeah, it's quite, like, it's really, I always tell our facilitators, you know, use your gut. First of all, you take all your experience and your skills that you already have. You start doing this work in a completely different way. And it really is not catching horses to do something with the horse, because that's just always something that's a one-way street. Make it more of a win-win. Bring them in and just be, groom, do things together, but don't do anything extreme in training. Just do that connection piece, and then you'll start to understand how that little pony pone is going to work with you. And no age is too old.
Yeah, that's very true too. We've seen facilitators. How old was he? 32?
32 or 34. They look like freaking 8-year-olds.
Unreal. Like I've never seen a horse that age in
no
such
sway, like
condition.
And that was a riding facility too.
Yeah.
That shows a lot in that riding facility to show that her her lesson horses, no sway back. She definitely knows how to teach people to ride the right way with the horse.
Stunning horses.
Yeah.
And I was interested too. Regina said, physically, my 2 Rockies did not look like adult horses until they were 8. And that's when they grew up in height. You never do know.
Yeah.
Oh,
you have Rocky horses. Oh my gosh, they're so gorgeous. Their manes, like, oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. I mean, all horses are beautiful, but
yes,
it's just that one's more flowy.
That's the maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah.
Kind of look, Kim, by doing this, I started looking at my horses in a different light and changed my training techniques. I learned to actually listen to the horses. I love that too.
Oh, me too.
And Mike Lamari, oh yeah, look, he's got an older, she's so cute. She's 33.
Cool, Mike.
Yeah, I'm excited to work with
Baka Baka Joe Tucker.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Lenore, my horse is 14 on April the 6th. I love that.
Nice.
Hey, what did we just figure out about that date thing?
April 14th?
No, that's your birthday.
Oh, for horses.
Yeah.
I always thought it was May the 1st, that calendar year. Then all the horses, that's their birthday, right? But it's actually August the 1st. Yeah. And I know probably some of you know that, but I love when I find new things. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. One more thing to add into the old checkbook.
I always thought it was May 2.
Checkbook. It's not a checkbook.
That doesn't go to the mental checkbook.
That's bad. I'm having a problem now, everyone.
I started with it. No,
my goodness gracious me.
There was something else I was going to say about the horses that we're working with. You don't have to worry. Like if you're just doing something like what we do, they don't have to be the high-end $15,000 horse. Like if you've got that horse that has some oddities, like Jordy, he was missing half of his ear. He walked just slow. He was a little curly, sturdy guy. Beautiful, beautiful EAL horse. All of our horses have a story. Faye, with her giant scar in her back, it's beautiful to see what she can offer people, even with her story of being a survivor that way too. But then some of their stories are like Buddy. He's a movie star. That's not a sad story, but it's a story nonetheless. But don't rule out a horse because they might have something that's not perfect about them, because some of those imperfections, just like with humans, help them to connect with people in a lot of different ways too.
Hey, you should go and join us on TikTok, because we do a lot of little TikTok things about horses as well, and about some of the exercises and what it is that we're looking for. So that is a fun thing to be a part of our group. So Tiki-Talkie is where we're at. And size, there is no size that's too small or too big.
That's true.
It really is. Does your horse like the stuff that people are putting on him? And again, if you're using a maintenance program after and clearing out everything that he has taken on, and you're really building that relationship in pure trust, oh my goodness. The majority, I would say, really do love this work. It's pretty outstanding. And the purpose that they feel for helping is outrageous. We also have in our exercise, of course, we have a form of delivery, so that you understand when you keep the form of delivery, then you're always going to have a result at the end. And that's the key. And part of it is we have our clients always write in, what did your horse teach you today? And of course, by the time they've gone through the arena and their horses have taught them, that's just accolades upon accolades to these teachers. So we go out after the clients have left, and we always read the notes that the people said about what they had learned from their teachers today. And it really makes a huge difference to our pony ponies.
And they listen, like they do completely tune in. Even when they were in the classroom doing a debrief, if say the participants are talking about a specific horse, you'll see them in the arena. They'll pick up their ear and listen to what's being said about them. They feel it's all for them. Kim, I love that too. My rescue horses are the best teachers. Aww. Yeah, it's very, very true.
I love it.
If you guys have any questions about horses and how you could work with them in these programs as well, pop them into the chat there, because I can't think of.
I think that's the top. It really is. A good overview. The relationship must start with you first. That's the absolute key, because the number one thing all of our equines need to feel is safe. Number one thing.
Period.
When you can establish that piece, then go to those other components and see what your horse is like when the stimulus comes from other people. But here's the cool piece. They're going to teach from that. So for example, we have Comet. He is a teacher of confidence. If you as a human go, no,
don't touch.
Then he gets super foul. He pins his ears. He is not happy. Again, he is a teacher of confidence. I come in and say, oh, I'm really good. And I do my rub thing. I do my thing. He's okay, because that is what he's trying to teach, right?
Yeah.
So you want the responses from the horses, because they naturally know how to teach. They naturally will go away from anything unsafe. They will go away from, I don't want that on my head. I don't want that on my head. They'll go high, they'll go low, they'll swish their tail. Why are they swishing their tail? Well, something ain't good with one of the humans. So you see, you want to see how the horses react, definitely with stimulus. But again, when you step in to save the horse, here comes the leader, here comes the safety, allowing humans to communicate again, think and feel on the same page, and you see the horses responding to it. That's a great sign to know that your horse or your donkey is in.
So true. Great question, Jen. Can your horses be riding horses as well as a teacher? You betcha. Now, not all of ours, most of ours aren't, but we still do.
Most of ours aren't. Half.
Okay.
You said most. We have 8.
And 4 and 4, is it?
Or is it 3? I think it's 5 riding horses and 3 that aren't.
Passes.
No, Pass can be ridden.
We haven't ridden because of his ring bone.
No, we've taken him for.
Can be ridden.
Yeah, we've taken him for a little ride in the field.
True. I guess with JR and Jordy
gone. I think
that does
make it most. It's not most. Anyway, to answer your question, Jen.
You can.
Here's the smart thing about doing this. I totally believe, horses are tons and tons of money, as we know, but so well worth it. I'd go in each and every day just to have horses in my life. But I would always get a riding horse first, because then, of course, you get the bonus as well that you can make a living and a career by working with horses differently. But then at the end of the day or every morning, you can take your horse out for a ride. So go with that. But then, of course, then some things happen, like Disco. He's a riding horse. He breaks his foot last year. It's taken 1 full year, which was, I guess, fortunate, because most horses have to be put down. He has survived it, but he's never going to be the riding horse that he once was. It will be very light little riding for him. So you see, you have the horse. He was riding. Then he gets injured, and now he's no more a riding horse, but it's still bonus, because he definitely is one of the stars of our programs and making money.
And like Kim says, of her 52 horses, you crazy woman.
Wow.
8 are not riding horses. They're minis, or they're too young. So there's different reasons for it too.
Yeah.
JR and Jordy, they were both, kind of old and decrepit, right? So it just wouldn't have been nice to ride them, but he's a trick horse. So he probably could be if you were into that sort of thing.
No, he couldn't. Because why? His trick is rearing. Why does a horse rear? To get away from what? Confusion.
Yeah.
So that's not safe. So you know what? Even Nikki Flundra, who trained Buddy, she didn't ride Buddy either, because that was his big show, is doing the big rear. Can you imagine going out on a trail ride, something in the bush, boom, you're out of there. I don't want to hurt my bones no more.
My point was that he could be like, if that was the trick that somebody was on him, like you could if you were doing that, but we would not.
No,
that's not our thing. But anyway, we digress once again.
Yeah, because that's just the way we roll.
Yeah, it is. This is true conversation with
absolutely
us people, because we go into our little tangents. So yeah,
Kim, you are a hoarder of the horses.
But she still keeps them all. And
Get a
keeps them all
t-shirt.
very good.
Get a t-shirt that says exactly those words.
My trigger is my trick horse, and I ride him still. Okay, so depending on the trick, I guess too. There's all sorts of different pieces.
Exactly, but he's a rearing horse.
It's funny with horses. A lot of the things is kind of depends on because there's a level of comfort even for how you would bring in horses. If you don't want to retrain a horse that pulls back, then you're not going to bring in a horse that pulls back, right? Like there's comfort levels with all of those pieces too.
Exactamundo.
Yes, and that's a great point, Kim. They are my income though. That's true. They're not just hanging out.
No.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Okay.
Well, any other questions, please put it in. Otherwise, I mean, we'll be checking messages on Facebook all day long too. So if you had a specific question, no worries. I know here at the Equine Connection, we also, for our certified facilitators, we always have a checklist to help people get their horses ready for doing this kind of business. But again, number one, it's between you and your horse first, and it's got to be full-fledged trust. Hey, you know what we should do? Because it's all about trust. And number one thing a horse needs to feel, if you want this gift, I mean, it's not ours, but we have it, but we would share it with you. And it's a video that will make you cry from your toes. Why? It's so profound. And how you have trust. And Becky and Stormy. Yeah. So yeah, if you want, we can send you the YouTube video. Just what message or
comment maybe for that one?
Sure.
Because then I can just throw it in the comments.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, just comment in here if you want the link to watch this little, I think it's 4-minute video, but it's serious. If you want to cry, that makes your heart feel so warm and fuzzy. And the goal you're trying to have with your own horses, oh my gosh, it just gets us every single time.
Kim's relentless. When are you guys coming to Manitoba? I don't know, Kim. I don't know. But we adore you. Would love to see the video. Perfect. Yeah, so throw that in the comments. Otherwise, we will see you guys in not next week, but the week after. But if you miss us in between, go join us on Tiki Talkie.
Yes, Tiki Talkie. I think you will have fun.
We have fun.
Remember, you are a life changer. Don't let anyone else tell you that. Your horses are life changers, your animals, everyone in your lives. Stay on that. We are life changers. Do one thing every day that just does something to me, and kindness is what makes the world go around.
Yes, that's right. We need just a little bit more of that. A sprinkle of kindness across the globe.
Sprinkles everywhere.